All right, I had a lot of people asking me about my platform system in my Jeep that I made. Took out the back seats for our 2-week trip to California here. It's just two of us traveling. I just used 3/4-inch plywood and some 2x4s. So I think it cost like around maybe $80 or $60, something around there. I think that's one 8-foot sheet that I got, and I cut it down. I just kind of used some cardboard to kind of trace a rough, close cut to the Jeep. I didn't want it to be too perfect. Didn't really need it to be. Again, this is not staying in here all the time. This is a system I wanted to be able to put in and out of the Jeep. So now that we're done with our trip, we're gonna take all this out and put the seats back in. The seats for the Jeep are only about 8 bolts, so it's pretty easy. I was able to get, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12 totes in here, plus stuff in the middle and the back. So quite a bit of storage. Basically these two here on the passenger side are Lisa's clothes. These two are for my clothes. I'll show you the rest of the middle in a minute. You know, with the middle section here that we can't get to as easily with the door closed, it's kind of shower accessory stuff, just extra hoses, bug wipes, you know, different stuff for our shower setup, which is this part right here is the propane shower. You know, we don't really get to that totes very often, so that's why I kind of put it on the bottom. We have our camping chairs right there in the back that we can slide out once we get to camp. On the bottom, we'd kind of put our shoes. You know, we'd be able to have room for about 2 things of shoes plus whatever we're wearing. So we had sandals, hiking shoes, and tennis shoes total. Way in the back there, I actually did a little toolbox and a roll of toolkit. I don't really plan on getting to the tools. I hope not to need them on a trip, so still good to have them just in case. But I put those kind of buried in the back a little bit more. I will show you the other side here. So this side here is a little bit more of the food side. I'll kind of show you why whenever I open up the tailgate here. So basically down here we have Elisa's coffee stuff, just anything drink-wise, drink mixes. We kind of put down there in the drink tote for the most part. This tote right here is kind of a kitchen tote, so some gloves, some foil, plates, paper bowls, oil, stuff like that, ketchup, mustard packs, just stuff for cooking. And then we got all the rest is pretty much for food. These back two right here were all food. They have switched now to laundry since as we're going throughout the weeks, we kind of got laundry, and we actually do a trash bag as well for dirty clothes. But since we just ended our trip, this went from food in the beginning. And then as your laundry bag gets full, you kind of realize your tote for food is getting a little bit lower since you're going through your bread and chips and stuff like that. So that switched out to dirty laundry there. Got some more food stuff here. This side one is kind of food that we use to cook more with. Like I said, bread, some powders, peanut butter, stuff like that. I left some room right here for my camp stove. That's the jet boil there. That's the stove, the pots and the pans. Again, like I said, down here you can see the other side of the chairs. And then just, this is my recovery gear and, you know, some more tools, stuff like that. This is where I kept my shoes at on my side since I was driving a lot more. Still got a little bit of room up here for different things that we had, like phone tripod, stuff like that. Let me get this tote out right here so you can see kind of behind it because I can't get out one-handed. Okay, like I said, I just took that tote out there. This is why I like the totes more than the drawers, because I can actually take them out and put them by the back of the Jeep where we're cooking if we want. If we don't want to keep walking back and forth and we need a lot of stuff out of one tote. You can see underneath there, right here, I've got a little propane fire pit just for any places where if they have burn restrictions, or in the morning, a lot of times we don't do a wood fire in the morning because we're only sitting there at camp for a little bit, just kind of warming up while we're making some breakfast or food. If it's cold out, I think we only use that a couple times. That way we could turn it off, and you know, the propane fire pit's nice to be able to turn back off. You can see here I got my wiring from my solar. I've got a 150 watts, I think it's a 150 watt solar panel on top. Just ran the wire, obviously just drilled a hole in my Jeep, no big deal. Ran the solar wire down to the Jackery, which is the battery bank that I use to power my cooler. You can see right now it's actually not plugged in at all, but this is the plug for the solar. It's black and red, and that was pretty nice. We used to charge it from the Jeep from just a normal DC port like that, but that DC port there is only on whenever we are in the Jeep and the Jeep is on. So whenever we're hiking all day, we had issues with the Jackery not staying all the way charged or getting a full charge. And then at night, the cooler is really relying on this Jackery to be charged up, because that's what's plugged in right here, is the 12-volt ice cold cooler. So that's kind of my most important thing that I plug in and make sure it has power at night, because it's a lot of food. We don't want the food to go bad. You can see in the middle totes here, we have more snack food. So this we get to while we're driving. So usually the passenger will just grab whatever, you know, to snack on. We got a lot of chips and stuff up there. Again, these latches were super easy. I was worried they would rattle, but they actually didn't make much noise at all. And that's in a Jeep that's bumping down the highway. So if they don't rattle on a Jeep, I can't imagine they rattle on anything else. This one down here is mostly just breakfast food stuff, granola bars, stuff like that. Just more healthy food snacks. Again, good driving snacks to have. We throw our apples in there, whatever else. I'll show you the back here. And the platform is actually not bolted into the Jeep at all. It just rests there, and it did not move at all. I was kind of worried it would move some, but it did not at all. So in the back here, obviously we did, the whole entire trunk is basically a fridge. We don't really switch to freezer very often. It could do a freezer too, but this is what is plugged into the Jackery. Again, it pulls about like, I don't know, 70 watts whenever it's on and running, and about 5 to 10 watts whenever it's just idling, essentially. So again, our back section is pretty much all kitchen stuff. We've got the water tank back there. It's I think a 14-gallon water tank. It's got quick connect hoses coming up to this water pump here. Got the water pump plugged into a battery or a splitter here that I could turn on individual ports. We ended up just switching to a normal garden hose just because of the simplicity of it. It's got a lot more spray options. Most of the time we were doing the mist option because it uses as little water as possible, rinse off your hands and stuff like that if you don't have a whole lot of water access. So in order to turn on the pump, I basically just turn on that. You can hear it kind of prime. It's got water primed to it now. I can spray off your feet, whatever you need. It's not heated, but that's what the heater is for. But again, it's not super cold either. It's kind of nice with a garden hose because I can select it to different spray options, whether it's, you know, a shower style or a mist, and it just uses less and less power. Water, whenever you have like mist or something like that. And then whenever we're driving, we just turn the pump back off so it's not sitting there on, because if it's on, it has a little bit more of a chance of leaking. Usually I'll spray out the excess water as well, just so then, you know, I don't have to worry about if it does leak any. It's at least not pressurized, so it won't leak much. On the side there, just kind of got some fans and stuff we use for at camp. This is a separate platform here than what's taken over the seat section. This platform I've actually always leave in my Jeep. It will fit in here with the cooler and the water tank with my seats in it, which is how we usually camp. If we're just doing a short weekend trip, I'm not going to put the platform system in. We got plenty of room with the seats in there just to stack stuff on the seats. The nice thing about this platform is it got the fridge a little more level. I put just Velcro on the bottom here just to hold the fridge in place and the water tank as well. We did some light off-roading, nothing crazy. I've done some harder stuff with the tank and stuff in there, and the Velcro holds it pretty well. It is like quote-unquote industrial strength Velcro, but whatever, right? It's just strong Velcro. It essentially holds it there. If I roll my Jeep, obviously it's all coming off, but I've got bigger problems in my water tank if I roll my Jeep. So again, another reason why I like the platform is I could have a little slide out table here. So with our drop down table on this side, with the slide out, it gives us a decent amount of table space, but then this lifetime folding table folding out of here as well, just sliding out, gives us a ton of space, and we put stuff on top of the bumper. The table actually does come all the way out. I'll take that out real quick. So I took the folding table out, just folded up, just a basic folding lifetime brand table. I don't know, whatever brand it is. Able to take it out, give you even more table space if you're really cooking for, I don't know, an army or something. We rarely ever take it out unless we're, you know, needing a table to sit at or something like that. Most campgrounds have a big table, so you can use that. Or most of the time we just sit by the fire and eat. So, but having that table coming out gives me access to this little storage area underneath here and for the Jeep. One thing I like about that versus Goose Gear and any other platforms is if you put the platform system in there, they have a little access, like little doors like that to be able to get in there. But if you put stuff on top, you're not gonna be able to get in there. I just wanted to be able to have access to that. Again, this platform was even cheaper than the other one. It was even less wood. So I did one thin piece on the bottom here, kind of rough cut in. Again, same thing on the top, and just 2x4 all the way around. on each side and the back, just because this does have a decent amount of weight on this one with the fridge and the water tank. So kind of kept that in mind, and it kind of gives you some other little storage cubby spots here. I think this is just stick on carpet material here. Don't know if it's helping, but it just kind of made sliding the table in and out a little easier and kept it from making as much rattle noise. So yeah, hopefully that gives some people some ideas. If you have a Jeep and you're doing a big camping trip, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a goose gear system or anything like that. You can make your own for about $100 some odd. All right, and here is the platform system. Without anything on it, just so then you kind of get an idea. Again, I just did 3 vertical 2x4 uprights there just for support, 4 in the front. I just wanted to make sure I left space in the front section here to be able to access the jackery, the battery bank, and be able to get to all the ports, stuff like that. We usually use the USBs just to charge our watches and phones at night and stuff like that. So, and again, the bottom, just some basic 2x4s upright, and the backside is actually just resting on top of the frame of the Jeep where the seats usually rest on the bolts. And then the platform that is holding the fridge and the water tank is actually on top of this platform. So they're kind of interlocked together a little bit without it using any screws or bolts. Again, didn't move anywhere, worked out great. So hopefully this gives someone else some ideas. Only thing I would recommend too is it does make it to where you can't lean your seats all the way back with the totes in there. So if you got a long drive and you want to lean your seats back, we did have the option to where we could move the totes up here behind the seats, put them on top of the fridge for the long drive, since there's nothing on top of there usually, and that give us room to lean back. Not all the way back, I just made it some of the way, because if I leaned them all the way back, this platform wouldn't go this far. It'd be like way back here. I just decided it was more important for us to have, you know, storage than to lean way back. Again, the seats are still really far back. That's actually where I usually drive anyways, in the driver's seat, and I'm 6 foot tall, so you know I'm sitting pretty far back already anyways. So yeah, that'd be the only thing I'd recommend. If you're going to build your own, just watch out for where your seats are at and make sure you don't end up putting yourself sitting straight up for, you know, 12 hours, or heck, I think our drive from California straight back was 25. So 2 days straight just driving, but it really wasn't bad. We were able to sit back far enough. So okay, that's kind of what it looks like without anything on the platform system. Again, these Velcro strips right here are what hold the cooler on. These right here is what holds the water tank on. And like I said, there's a storage platform underneath here I like to be able to get to, so I just kind of cut a hole in the bottom plate of this platform, and that again is where I reach through to be able to get, that's where the table goes, and that's how I'm able to reach down into that thing. Again, you can't fill it up too much because you gotta make sure it's flat so the table can go in there. But again, the front platform essentially just sets on the Jeep right there, you can see, and this platform sets on top of it. It's pretty snug together with this back brace here. Just simple screws straight through. Again, I did not put like you could do 3/4 inch plywood down right here and across, and that might save, and I really want to save you any cost, and 2x4s are so cheap, but the problem is it's going to cover all this up. So if you want to put loose stuff in here, you could do that, but I kind of wanted access to be able to everything and keep it as light as I possibly could. Have not weighed this thing. Guess I can weigh it and see what it weighs to give you an idea, but yeah, pretty simple little design. I'm just going to take this thing out and put the seats back in here pretty soon after I rinse out all this dust and dirt from Death Valley and Yosemite and Sequoia and who knows what else. I think I got some salts in here from Death Valley. Got all kinds of debris in there. So yep, just going to clean it out now, but taking everything out super quick and easy. You could take those totes right out and dump the dirty clothes right in the laundry, or put the totes in the kitchen to be able to put, you know, everything back in the pantry and stuff. So cool. Hopefully this video helps you out.